things. So, well, the most important news today is that you did a TED talk on the 22nd of April, right?
Yeah, I did my first TEDx talk. Yeah, just about.
Tell us about it. Tell me about it.
Really great. So I got an email that invited me on the 16th of December 2016, and so I've known for 5 months that this date was coming, and it just, from the moment I knew that I was going up until the minute I got on stage, it was just this massive roller coaster of an emotional and physical journey. That's if you take it really seriously, you know. And I probably took it a bit too seriously, to be honest. I just made up this huge thing, and you know, I'm someone that's I'm quite comfortable in crowds and talks and all that stuff. It's not at all something that I struggle with, but for some reason the format of TED and the event and the kind of magnitude of the organization and so forth, I let that get to me, and I was really worried and like concerned of what if I don't say something smart, what if I've got nothing to say, all this stuff. But came D-Day, it was it was phenomenal. I did a little kind of a vlog. People can check it out at just do markruise.com/TEDx or go to my YouTube channel. Yes. And I did like a behind the scenes vlog, and you're gonna see what happened during practice that morning, like the morning of the actual event. I get on stage to practice and something happens, but you'll have to go and check it out to see what it was. But it was great.
I actually watched half of it because I was just on the way of, you know, somewhere. So I was like watching a little bit. It was, I mean, the beginning was really fun. I was like, oh, I want to finish this. And my question really was, why was so important? Is it the vibe of it, or, you know, because I would definitely love to do one, but you know, I like the experience.
So it's interesting, right? So for people who don't know, because some people just do not know what TEDx is. So TED was founded in 1984 with the concept of bringing ideas worth spreading to a community of thought leaders back in America. And it really started as a private event. It was standing for technology, engineering, and design. And eventually, I think the guy was a bit fed up. He sold it to this guy called, I think it's Chris Anderson, who's now the curator of TED, a former publisher. And he basically took TED and his idea that was about to be bankrupt, took it to the world and made videos online. And for some people, it might be obvious, but some people you'd be surprised have never heard of it. And so what it is effectively is the format is you have 18 minutes max, and you've got to share an idea that is worth spreading. So that basically means either it's going to change the way people see the world, or it's going to make them act differently. And so it's not a message, it's not a title, it's an idea, which is very different than what us coaches are more used to. It's like, I want to get my message in the world, you know, I believe in this. It's not that. It has to be something that is unique and different, or a different perspective on something that you might think is common. So you've got that, and then you've got obviously sort of the prestige of the actual event, which is, it's traditionally an honor to be invited to go and attend a talk. And I think most people want to give a talk, but not that many people get in. So you've got that, and on top of that, you've got a very rigid format. So the real purists of a TED event, you're not allowed any notes. You can't have anything holding in front of you that you can read, and you're allowed to have slides, and that's about it. And so it's a great platform to spread an idea that you think is important, and at the same time, there were 500 people in the room, which was really cool. That was really, really exciting. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but I kind of went off on a tangent there.
You know, I mean, I guess, I mean, it's all in your head, right? All these things, it doesn't really exist unless you put you have them present in your thoughts.
100%. I was the one that panicked and self-imposed it. And to be honest, because I made up this thing about how a TED is so important, how my life depends on it, and how if I mess this up, I'm basically
exactly.
I made up this whole story around what this event meant. And look, there's a part of it that I'm glad I did, because as a result, I worked my ass off for 5 months. It was just like, you know, my girlfriend helped me so much. My friends helped me so much. You know, so many people came together to help me to shape, craft, and edit my talk. Practiced it. I did a 21-day challenge on Facebook where I did a live video every day. And for the first 10 days, I was pitching the idea to everyone I was meeting, right? And filming this video. And eventually I decided to stop that. And 10 days before the actual talk, I changed the entire talk, the entire idea. So that was pretty nerve-wracking and pretty insane.
Yeah, that kind of sounds familiar though, even if it, you know, I haven't done something like this, but I think that's what I was thinking is like, I think the fact that you created that pressure, I'm sure it helped, like, you know, to get the results. I don't know. We have to see the video, right?
We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, fingers crossed. And yeah, the actual funny thing is that, so they were putting it on live feed on Facebook or on their website, and 3 minutes within my actual talk, the live feed broke. So all my friends who are online watching me were going, "Oh my God, what's happened? It's frozen. We can't see you." And so they're like, now they're really eager to see it. So that's why I did that vlog with the behind the scenes to show them, to keep them waiting.
That's good. Yeah. That's really good. That's exciting. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm just like, because I remember when you said that, and yeah, anyway, amazing. So we will see your video. We will see your message. I cannot wait to see your message, because I know it's not about business. It's not about, as you said, the product of this is an idea. So it has to be unique. So it's very, I mean, I love the TED Talks generally. So I'm sure it's going to be
and that's what it is. And I think a lot of people, so I've actually interviewed the actual TED speaker coach of the main TED in America, right? So Jenna Barnett, her name is, I think. And she came on my podcast, The Unconventionalists, and we spoke. And actually what she said is that most people think they want to give a TED Talk, but what they really want is attention.
Yeah.
And I was one of those. I was 100% one of those guys who wanted to do a TED Talk because it was going to be all about me, really. It was about, look at me. I did a TED Talk, look at me, I'm on a platform, look how cool I am, got a great idea. But the moment you realize that actually it's not about you, and it's about the idea that you want to transmit as a gift to the audience, to the world, that's when you're onto something.
Yeah. And I think you show that with your podcast, isn't it? With your Unconventional podcast, because it's like you bring people in and you push them a little bit as well, and you bring stuff that is not really shared, or like, you know, it's not normally there from these people specifically.
And anyone listening to this, you've got to go and listen to Nerea's interview. You open up about pretty cool stuff. And what you said is like, I've never opened up about this in any other podcast before. And that's something I hear all the time from my guests. And I think it's because I'm on a quest, I'm on a mission to bring some realness to this industry that we're in, whether that's personal development or leadership impact or coaching, whatever you want to call it, startups, new businesses and stuff. I really want to show the human side of that and making that okay, and that we don't always have to be amazing and we don't always have to say all the great stuff that's happening, but actually people, and that's why they keep on coming back on my podcast, say they love hearing vulnerable stories. They love hearing people that they put up here talk about actually how they're exactly on the same level as everybody else.
Yeah, I love that, because to be honest, I mean, especially in coaching and motivational talks and all of this confidence building, it seems like coaches or people that is very successful have to always be like, you know, on high state, they're like really feeling good and like their life is amazing and you have to have everything covered. And I don't know, but I don't really like believe in that fully. Like, I mean, because I've also met very successful people and I know they have problems as well, right? So it's almost like, how can we not forget that, you know, at the end of the day, we are all people, and maybe it's different challenges, different problems, but there is problems, there is something, you know, there's weaknesses, there is things happening. And I think we all need to see a little bit of that, because it's too much, you know, American kind of like, yeah, everything is beautiful. Yeah. And I'm very positive. I'm probably one of the most positive people I know. I'm happy and I feel good. But I also have moments, and I also like to be human, and I also like to lie down on someone's shoulder, you know what I mean? And I think that's the beauty of humans. And if we don't bring the whole, seems like something is missing. So
yeah, and I love what you're saying, because that's exactly what it is. It's around showing the whole picture. I think we have a tendency to have a single view on what starting a business or being, you know, living the life you want and all this stuff. And it's like, you've got to have perfect teeth, perfect abs, perfect avocado on toast. You've got to look great. you know, and you've got to smile all the time, you're going to look great, Instagram photos, you know, fucking Facebook Live, all this stuff, all, you know, and it's so pouring outwards. You're always putting outwards. And so when you're dealing with stuff that's happening inside, it can feel really vulnerable to actually reflect that, because you're like, the world's not going to love me, or I'm going to be rejected if I share that with the world, and therefore I'm going to hide that, or I'm not going to talk about that, or maybe I'm going to speak about it with very few people. And what I've found since, I mean, I've been blogging now for about vlogging, podcasting now, all in all about 5 years, just over 5 years. And what I've realized that the more I open up about how I don't have my shit together, how I have massive shame and guilt, and how I haven't got, you know, a clue what I'm doing, the more I talk about that, the more people respond. And it's a real gift when you can let go of that idea that you need to be a certain way in order to be loved, accepted. I know it's getting a bit deep and intense pretty fast, but it's true though. It's
I love that.
Anyway.
It's good. That's what we do anyway. We like to go. No, but I get you fully, and I think I find the same. You know, when I started, I had a big ego, kind of trying to look perfect, and since I decided not to do that, and you know, show myself how I am, and if I'm crying, I'm crying. Hi guys, I'm crying because of this, and you know, I'm just like really opening up, and I just feel much more supported, and I just feel I'm more congruent. I can breathe more. I can just be, you know, and you expect more, and people around you also connect with you much deeper, and you know, in a more natural way, because they trust you. They see like, okay, it's just you, and it's
because no one wants to support an island, you know. It's like when we position ourselves as these superstars, we actually alienate ourselves from most people, and we actually create a bigger boundary and a bigger gap. And there was a really interesting comment I heard not so long ago from one of my girlfriend's friend, who was like, "Oh, how's Mark doing and stuff?" And she's like, "Oh, you know, well, he's preparing his TEDx talk, but he's quite nervous around it. You know, he's a bit stressed or whatever." And he said, "Oh, it's funny because he doesn't give that impression, and it's hard to want to help him, or it's hard to know how to help him." And I was like, wow, that's really interesting, because I've so been creating this persona of, look, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that people didn't know how to interact with me anymore. And so I had to dial that down, and I had to start actually talking about, this is really tough, and I have no fucking idea what I'm doing, and I'm going to give this TEDx talk. I feel like a total fraud, but it's going to be amazing. And so when I started doing that, I had a whole bunch of people who actually reached out to help me. You know, I cannot begin to even list everyone who just helped me on this journey, on this quest to try and deliver this TEDx talk. And I'm so grateful for it.
Amazing. Yeah, you know, it reminds me too, because also like in these courses, you know, NLP courses, for example, we learn this, you never have to think that you're not going to be successful. You never have to think in your failure. You don't have to repeat yourself that you're nervous or that you don't feel good. You know, so we have all these learnings, which I think they are very useful, and I think they balance us up sometimes, especially for those that are very negative, that we have these habits of, you know, all the time complaining, or, you know, being stressed and saying that we are stressed, and then repeating that we're stressed, and then being more stressed, and then saying that we're more stressed. So I think it really helps, and it's a wake-up call for everyone that is in that place. But I think we also, again, have to be humans still, and I think the event we're going to host on the 30th of April, which is something we wanted to talk about today. It's going to be also about that, also about the things we have already learned, you know, in coaching, personal development, and the things that might not be working, you know, as well. So it's almost like, let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to our origins, who we are as humans, and let's see if we can really focus in that energy that we already have. We all have our energy, but we have been distracted with so many things. We have learned so many things. We're getting lost in this amount of information and amount of influences. So it's almost like it's a place where I really want to give people the energy back somehow, which sounds a bit mystic, but it's almost like forget what anyone have told you before, you know, and what do you think? What do you believe? What do you like, how can you trust yourself more? But like, I wanted to ask you, because the event is called Live Life Your Way, and it's all about, I mean, I wanted to ask you, what do you think is that about, right? What do you actually understand by living life your way? Because obviously for everyone it's probably different. So what do you understand by that?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the most fundamental questions you can ask yourself. And it's interesting because I had a guest yesterday called David Baker. He was the launching managing editor of Wired magazine in the UK. And he's the first guest that's come on twice on my show because he was a fan favorite. So I got him back. He's a fascinating guy. And I asked him at the end, what would he put on a billboard? If you could have the billboard in Piccadilly Circus and you could have one message, what would that message be? And he said, it's what we teach at the School of Life, because he's a faculty member at the School of Life. And he says, are you living the life that you want, or are you living the life that someone else wants for you? I'm probably butchering the phrase, but it was something like that. And I just thought, yeah, I think this is what it's all about. You know, there's so many different movements. So many different people talk about this differently, whether that's NLP, whether that's coaching, whether that's minimalists. Everyone talks about the same thing, really, which is basically there comes a point in time in your life, most Western, you know, people working who've got the privilege of asking yourselves that question, because let's face it, it's a great privilege that we have compared to like 89 or 99% of the world population out there who don't have this. But there's something about, you come to a point in your life where you realize that maybe that dream that you were sold or the idea that you bought into is no longer relevant. And what I mean by that is that, you know, I'll talk about this more on Sunday. Look at it historically speaking. You've got the baby boomers, right, who came right after the war, where they were all about the generation of building and consuming and making sure that you can rebuild a nation and strong and all this stuff. And then suddenly you've got us millennials, who are the most purpose-driven generation in decades, who keep on asking ourselves why every single second about why we're doing this, why we're doing that. And so we start realizing that actually, do we really want to have that big car? Do we really want to have that massive house? Do we really want to get that next promotion? And did we really want to become a lawyer? Did we really want to become an accountant? Or did we do that because that's what mom wanted, that's what dad wanted, that's what my brother did? You know, and once you start asking yourself those questions, I believe that you probably enter one of the hardest phases of your life, which is when you start peeling the layers of the onion as to what you've maybe been part of creating. And I know it sounds a bit weird, but basically look at The Matrix. And this is a classic example of pretty much any story based on Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, the call to adventure, right? And so Neo, the character in The Matrix, is faced at one point when he meets his guide, Morpheus, that gives him the choice between the blue pill and the red pill. I forgot which color does what, but let's just go with the red pill takes him down to the reality that he's never going to come back. And the blue pill brings him back to the life he's always known and he'll never know better. And he makes a choice and he goes to the red pill and he goes down this rabbit hole and there's no going back. He now understands how the world works. He understands it's all the Matrix. He understands that food he was eating was actual food, blah, blah, blah. If people don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch the film. But the bottom line is, it's the same thing. When you go down that road of asking yourself that question, you take the red pill and life will never be the same. And it's not a bad thing, but it is a hard thing because you start realizing that actually you maybe have lived your life the way that you wasn't true to you. And it's very woohoo and coachy, but fundamentally all it means is, am I doing what's true to me or what feels right? Is this what I really feel like I want to be involved with? Does it match my values? Does it match my code of ethics and all this kind of stuff? And I think it's one of the most awesome things you can ask. And maybe you are, maybe someone that asks themselves, actually I am. You know what? I've become exactly what I want to do. I'm very happy. I'm with the partner I want. I'm living the life. I'm content and I'm happy. And I'd like to be a bit more, this or more of that. And that's great. But the majority of people that I've come across tend to actually start realizing, oh shit, I've basically downloaded the operating system of my parents or of my grandparents or of my siblings. And I've been operating it internally from that place, but it's not mine. I have a different operating system. And I feel almost guilty or ashamed to admit it because does that mean I'm no longer part of that same tribe? Does that mean that I'm no longer going to be accepted or loved. Because as soon as you go down that path, you also get all the fears around judgment. What would people think of me? Let's say you've been an accountant for 10 years, right? You've been a lawyer for 10 years, 15 years, doesn't matter. You now want to become a yogi. You're now thinking about, maybe I want to go and do a surfer dude and like go and collect some shells on the beach in Bali and sell some beers. Like, have you gone mad? You know, like, and so you're fearing that. Yeah, I can go on for 2 hours. I'm going to shut up. So,
Yeah. You see, this one reminds me to a few things. The first one, I remember when I was in finance and I was, my colleagues, I was kind of the youngest in the company, one of the youngest there. And then I was seeing my colleagues, they were already like 50, maybe, 45 or something. And their parents, maybe died. And then when they died, they found themselves really, really lost. So it didn't happen to everyone, but it happened to few people. And I was really surprised. Obviously, I didn't know much, right? It was my first job, official, big job. So I was just seeing them. And I really thought I didn't want to be in that position. Like, I didn't want to be 50 and think, oh my God, what I done with my life? And I don't like my life anymore. And why I'm doing this, it's like, why I'm here? This is not even, I don't feel it anymore. So they were having this big, feeling lost, like in the middle of nowhere suddenly, because there was no, that pillar of the parents kind of supporting the whole life. So don't get to that place, anyone, if you can. But I think, another thing that could happen with this, when we ask, oh, do I need that car? Do I need that house? Do I need this stuff? I think there's two thoughts here that come to my head. The first one is sometimes we need to get these things to realize that we don't want them, first of all. Sometimes you need to actually go and buy that freaking car that you wanted your whole life. Once you get it and you realize that you're in the same state, you are in the same shitty life, then you might just consider that there's something else that you could change. Because you can have an amazing car and be miserable, and you can have a shitty car and be miserable as well. I mean, you can actually have both. I think everything around you determines how you feel, or it shouldn't determine how you feel, first of all. But also, like, my fear is always with people that is in that place of, oh, I don't need this to be happy, I don't need that to be happy. That's great if it's coming from a healthy place, if it's coming from already testing things out. Because what is not cool is that you use that as an excuse not to do stuff or not to do things. It's almost because if we get to the place where we live in that little happy island, which, to be honest, I think I live in it a lot, like, because when there's problems around me, I keep myself still quite well. I'm quite separated from my situation. And that's good. But I think it also can put you in a place where you're almost using this story as an excuse not to go for things that you might actually want. Or you don't know for sure if you want, but they are there. And it will be nice to have them. So it's almost like, I would say, just be aware of everything, right? Because I think, every extreme situation, I don't think is good. I will just find that balance or that place in the middle. You know what I mean?
And for some people, actually, material wealth is something that they want and they generally want, and that's fine. If that's who you are, then great. And I think it's funny. I gave a talk once, and I think I said at some point, I said, I could sit down and tell you how you really don't need all the things that you want, but you're probably going to think, that's easy for you. You've tasted it. You've had all that. And now it's easy for you to say you don't want it, but we haven't had that opportunity yet. So we want it, and we'll make up our own mind. And I think as humans, we do have a tendency to need to experience things in order to really get them. And so, as guides and coaches and mentors, we can sort of say, look, this is most likely what might happen. Just letting you know, you think you're going to live this dream by becoming, I get a lot of life coaches who come to me and ask me to help them with their businesses and stuff. And to be fair, one of the biggest things I've noticed is this massive delusion around what life coaching really is. And it's like, I'm going to quit my job and tomorrow I'm going to have 20 clients and I'm going to have a full practice business and make millions. And I'm like, dude, You know that first of all, no one gives a shit about life coaching. It's the toughest job to sell because no one gets it. It's one of the most wild west industries in the world, and we are really fighting to get a good name for, you know, all this stuff. And so there sometimes needs to be. It's like kids. Look at kids. Okay, you need kids to fall and learn. Imagine if we spent our entire life telling kids, no, don't do that, don't do that. No, you're gonna fall. You know, and they'll never learn.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to get to, that point of exploration, because yeah, I mean, potentially we have this education of don't do that, as you're saying, don't do that, be careful. But if you do it, you might fall. Great.
Yeah.
It's like, let's go for it. You know? So if you haven't had that support of someone saying, yeah, go for it, and just you know, kill yourself if you have to, then it's, yeah, it can be a little bit tricky.
For sure.
Amazing. All right, beautiful. So there is few topics that are going to come up in that day, on the 30th of April. Remember, that date is very important. 30th of April. So, you know, topics as happiness, confidence, motivation, self-awareness. I like to just stop a little bit in the topic of happiness today, because happiness is like, you see, when I think about happiness, I remember myself being happy, and I remember myself being happy, and I remember what changes I made in myself, and what changes I made in my focus. But it's almost like, I always like to go back to the origins of who we are, right, as humans. And I always see happiness as something that is there. When you're born, you have the ability to experience it. And I just want to hear your thoughts around happiness. Like, how did you see happiness? Like, what's for you, or like whatever thoughts you have around it?
Yeah, it's funny. One of my friends, Samantha Clark, is a happiness consultant, and so what she does is she goes and gives talks and goes to companies and talks about happiness at work and stuff. And we were both, and I brought her onto this podcast. We were interviewed, and we had to watch a documentary. It's called Flix Watcher. It's a podcast about films and documentaries on Netflix. It's a really cool show. Anyway, and we went on there, and so we had to both choose a show, and she chose Happy on Netflix, which is a documentary about happiness. It's a bit old now. It's 2011. But effectively what they do is that they go around the world from the slow all the way to I forget where else they go, like Denmark or somewhere, and they ask people, you know, they expect in Japan and so forth, and they ask like, what is happiness, and what does happiness look like, and so forth. And they do studies around, you know, people are happy and blah blah blah. And the number one thing that everyone asks every time they ask someone, like in the streets, like in New York or in America, like, what do you want to be? I want to be happy. I want to be happy. Everyone's like, I want to be happy. And so the way I see it, it's like happy it's two things. I'm making all this up on the fly, but one of them is that it's more of a peak. It's a peak state. Okay, so I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling joy. I'm feeling, you know, endorphins in my body, and I'm enjoying this state. It's like I'm laughing. I'm connected with friends. I can remember last time I was happy. Like if I ask anybody who's listening to this right now, watching this, it's like, when was the last time you were really happy? What were you doing? Who was with you? You know, where are you? What's around you? Like people can remember these things. Most likely they'll be like, I was climbing a mountain, or I was with my girlfriend, my boyfriend, I was there. You know, you can remember these things. And so you idealize these peak moments of happiness. The second thing is that I think the pursuit of happiness can actually come at a cost, because it's impossible to be constantly happy. I mean, maybe you'd argue, maybe you can say you can always be happy. But I think I wouldn't want to be happy all the time, because being happy all the time would be boring, because it would become normal. And the fact that I experience boredom and depression and anxiety enables that when I'm happy, I really feel that joy. So that's like my take on it, is that it's great to have some, and if you don't believe me, watch the amazing animated movie called Inside Out, which I recommend anybody listening to this.
Love it.
So it's phenomenal. And if you remember, there's a huge point in the film which is around sadness. And we all need sadness, because sadness is also connecting us to an emotion. And I don't trust people who are constantly happy all the time and who never experience sadness. There's something wrong with them. They're a robot, or they're on a magic pill, or they're fake. That, you know, that's me. But I do believe that there are little things we can do that can help our levels of joy, of gratitude, of happiness, whatever you want to call it. And it doesn't need rocket science, it doesn't involve money, and it doesn't involve Ferraris. And I think most people, I mean, this is a huge topic that would take, you know, so much longer than this, but the idea that you're chasing happiness, that I want happiness, actually what you want is the feeling that you make up that you'll get when you're happy. And so if you make that up, you then start thinking, okay, what are the things that are going to make me happy? A better body, a better relationship, a better work, a better confidence, or a bigger penis, you know, bigger boobs, whatever it is that you make up you're going to need to be happier. But the reality is, most often than not, we don't actually need those things, or we make up we're going to get these things, but even if we get them, we won't feel the thing that we're hoping, because there's something deeper than that that's happening. Yeah, and there's something deeper than that. It's usually people who say, I'm unhappy and I'm looking for happiness, there's something I'm uncomfortable about myself with. There's something that I can't be with. And that could be, I'm afraid of conflict. I'm afraid of standing up for myself. I'm afraid of saying what I really want in this relationship. I'm afraid of telling my colleagues that it's not okay to call me at midnight. And all these things are mirroring my quest for happiness, but it's actually a deeper yearning to be at peace with who I am.
I like that. Happiness. It's almost like, I really like to see it as something that happens, and then most of the times, because we're thinking in our head about stuff, then it doesn't flow as much. But when it comes, sometimes it happens whenever, like, even if you have problems or you are actually in a mess, you know, and sometimes it just comes. But because we are here, then we don't actually. So I really like to see, like, whenever it comes, just make it bigger. And I think that's what kids do, right? When they are happy, they just, they express and they go fully for it. And then when they are sad, they go crazy. So I think adults, we've learned to kind of manage that. It's slightly more stable, but sometimes it's too stable. Okay, sometimes it's like we are like too stable, or we just focus in you know, in the opposite. So
yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, what a great example of how happiness can be contagious is if anybody watching this goes back and watches your video, videos on your YouTube channel where you ask, you know, the happy, you know, the happy cards. I hope I've got it. Yeah, look.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's smart. So I didn't do the job. I didn't pass it on because I was sucking. I kept it.
The card.
But you know, that you look at that video where they're on the tube, and you know, someone's like this on the tube, and they go, and they laugh, and they pass. Yeah. And so I think happiness can be found in many different ways. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not like trying to be Mr. Grimm and saying like you should be happy, but I think people have to be careful in thinking that you want to be happy all the time. I don't think that's quite the case. I think what you're looking for is emotions and being more at peace with who you are. I think that's, if people really were honest, I don't think it's I want to be happy, it's I want to be at peace with who I am and show up in the world in a way that is actually true to who I am. I think that might be like a true statement, but that gets a bit deep.
Facebook, careful there, right? Because Facebook usually show the best, most positive part of ourselves.
It's a showroom. And that my TEDx talk, that's what I talked about in my TEDx talk. And the first part of my TEDx talk was all about that. It was all about, you know, this persona we put up on Facebook, and it's a show reel of our life. It's ridiculous, and we all know it. We all do it. I do it, and I know it. You know.
So I think we just need to be a little bit more aware. And I remember I had a client saying, you know, I see Facebook and I feel like I'm missing out. And I was like, yeah, because you are missing out all the time. Right now, you're missing out because you're sitting here with me instead of going on the beach. Of course, you're missing out all the time. But like, it's not true. It's not real. This is not the whole life of someone. You know what I mean? We're not 24/7 there. If we were 24/7 there, you know, another story would be told. That would be completely different. So it's like, you know, we have to be a little bit more aware, because yes, humans tend to believe what they see. I get that. But because we know that, let's just be a little bit more aware and, you know, just, you know, try to see the whole picture, even if it's so beautiful. Confidence, another topic that is kind of big, and especially this topic is quite big for me because I was super insecure, and I'm still working in few things, and well, in many things, and sometimes I feel insecure and weak, and I don't feel that strong anymore. And you know, we have these ups and downs. And I remember, you see, when you start changing as a person, or maybe you start changing your habits, you start, let's say, utilizing what you've learned outside, you suddenly have this, you know, power that comes, and you can do everything, and you're so confident, and you have this energy, right? Which I guess is the process of change. But then after a while, then you kind of, again, become a human, because obviously life is putting you in the place where you know you're from, let's say. So it's almost like you have all this. So the question was, how can, because I always like to tell people, look, not being confident sometimes, even if you're a confident person, is okay, but we're almost fighting against that, you know. It seems like everyone would be confident all the time. So what are your thoughts around that as well?
Around confidence as a topic, or as needing to be confident all the time?
Yeah, I think, well, whatever comes to your head is good. But I would say what calls my attention is that everyone is like, yeah, but why I was not confident in that talk? Imagine that your TED talk goes badly, right? Imagine that. I mean, it's already done, so it's great. So, but if it went badly, and you know what I mean? It's like, how do you let go of this? How do you kind of?
Yeah, you know, so much stuff. One of them is, I'd love to invite people to maybe change confident with courage. And so sometimes we don't have confidence. We don't have the confidence in us because we haven't yet built the ability or the capability to prove that we can do what we want to do, right? So I don't feel confident in becoming a stand-up comedian. Okay, so that's one of my stretch challenges for 2017.
Because you're not.
And I'm saying it here for the first time, that I want to do a 5-minute open mic night at a stand-up comedy club, and I am scared shitless of that. I really am, because it's like, I don't know what, for whatever reason, it terrifies me. Okay, I don't feel confident for fuck. I've never done that before. Right? I've never done it before. I'm pretty sure I'm going to bomb like an asshole. You know, all this stuff. So I'm not confident, but if I can tap into courage, then my courage can be a gateway to confidence, because the courage can tell me, you don't know yet if you can or cannot do this, but you'll be damned if you don't try. And I don't know if that comes from confidence, or I don't know if that comes from courage. For me, maybe it's a mix of both, but for me, I like to think that there's something about courage, because confidence comes that can help 100%. I just think that people often confuse being confident with being powerful, and not being confident with being weak. And I'm not sure about that. I think there are certain areas in my life that I'm very, very confident about. When it comes down to public speaking, I am very confident because it's my home. I love it. When it comes down to you interviewing me, I'm very confident because I'm very comfortable. And I think confident and comfortable can sometimes be confused, or actually can be not seen as one and the same, but they can. I think confident, when you're confident, you're comfortable, right? And it's like, if you're going to do something that you really want to do, there's no way you're going to be comfortable. You're going to be scared. You're going to be afraid. And so then you go, oh my God, I'm not confident. Well, no shit, you're not confident. And this is my take. I'm not saying it was. And so instead, actually go, I'm not yet confident, but I will be. I'm confident that I will be confident one day. Yes. That I can be confident about. And then tap into that courage and give yourself the permission to mess up. And I think one of the best kind of tips I got about 2011, when I started coaching about 5 years ago, 5 years, 6 years ago, was make your clients more important than you looking good. And that really helped me, because it wasn't about me. It was about my client, and it wasn't about me if I looked good and I performed, right? Yeah. So it wasn't about being competent anymore. It was about being of service, which really changed.
Sorry, what you said?
It wasn't about being confident. It was about being.
Yeah. Okay. And it's like, if you had to say what's your, the thing that has helped you most in being comfortable with yourself, is there anything, one thing that you could say, oh, this really helped me?
Yeah, so I've had an opposite journey as you. As like, I started as a very confident kid. I was very young and completely out there and outgoing, and I was a super skinny kid. And the only way that I survived through school without ever getting bullied is because I had such a quick gift of the gab. I would scare bullies because they knew that if they came near me, I was going to ruin them with a few sentences and make everybody laugh. So they didn't touch me, and so I survived thanks to that, right? Mm-hmm. So I was confident up until about end of university, my final university. Up until then, I've been comfortable, never really thought about myself. But then I put on a lot of weight, and so I discovered what it was like actually to suddenly not be comfortable in my own skin and not like the way I look, getting comments by people I knew going, my God, you put on a lot of weight. And for the first time, I started going, oh, I'm not good enough. From like a real physical perspective, right? And then I had a long story around, I'll tell you more about on the 30th, but around my job, and I quit my job, and I was this rising star and a director at the age of 23. And I quit all that, and suddenly my identity was nothing, and I made up that because I wasn't this great thing, that I was nothing. And so I went through being really confident in life to then suddenly crashing and then having to rebuild myself. And there's still loads of stuff I struggle with. There's still lots of stuff that I'm not comfortable with. There's still stuff I'm ashamed of. There's still things that I don't like about myself. But I'll tell you what, the single biggest thing that's helped me, and I still struggle to do it, but I try my best. And I was interviewed by Hustlers, I forgot what they call now. Anyway, a blog. And they asked me, what do I think is the single best attribute to becoming an entrepreneur? And I said, compassion. And they're like, they were surprised that it wasn't like grit and courage and big balls and all this stuff, It was like, no, compassion, because compassion is the single most underrated gift and skill that we can develop. Because if you can be compassionate with yourself and who you are, then you can go so much further, because you don't spend your time beating yourself up about what you should have done, what you could have done. But instead you go, I'm not perfect, and that's okay, right? And it's like, and you keep going. So I try and remember that. There are the 10 laws of I forgot what they are. I'll try and send you the link. The 10 laws of something like the 10 laws of heart. And these are mantras that you're supposed to repeat every day. And I don't remember them. But there's one of them is like, I am learning that I am the most unique and beautiful manifestation of creativity. And it's like these really woohoo stuff, right? Like, I'm learning that everything I have is exactly what I need. And you repeat these things, actually really helps you to kind of go, yeah, I'm imperfect, and that's great. And that's good enough. Yeah, that's what's helped me.
Do you still feel fat? That's it.
Yeah, right now I do, actually, because it's
come on.
yeah. No, but it's I go through yo-yo phases, right? And so before, I never really cared about my weight. I mean, I grew up as a really skinny kid, and then I discovered back in 2009 or 2010, I discovered mixed martial arts, right? MMA. And so I started training in MMA, and I lost a lot of weight, and I was being really comfortable in my own skin. I was learning, I loved all those skills. And then I injured my knee. And so I went back again to putting on weight, and I've just been yo-yoing with weight ever since. And only for the last maybe 10 years, less than 10 years, has weight or food ever been a problem for me. And I'm in a phase right now in my life, because it'll be a in a week since I quit my job in November. And so a lot of stress comes with that. And I'm a massive emotional eater, right? So I had Fidela on the show, who is the author of Stuffed, and we were talking about this, and it's a great episode because I talk a lot more about all this stuff. And it's like when I'm feeling a bit down, when I'm feeling stressed, I don't exercise, I don't eat well, and I'll just grab the first piece of shit. I'll eat sugar, I'll eat cakes, all this stuff. And it's something that I find it's a fascinating, and actually I'm really grateful for that, because I'm able to relate to people who are struggling. Because for a lot of things, for me, it came natural to me. So things like public speaking, performing, interviewing, all those things came quite easy to me, and I just developed them quite easy. So I didn't have to work that much for them. So when I was coming across people who were saying, I don't know how you do it, I could never go on stage and speak to all those people, I'd be like, what? That's insane. And when I was reading reports, people would rather be buried alive than being on stage public speaking. I was like, that is insane. How could anyone think that? So me struggling with this whole thing about my body and my weight and how I look and how I feel enables me to relate to things like my dad, who struggles to take care of his health or his diet, and I don't understand why. He's had 2 strokes, and why is he not doing something about it? Well, being in this state right now where I feel stuck and I'm aware of it, I know exactly what I should do, what I should eat, how I should exercise, you know. I mean, I've got a freaking plant-based nutrition certificate from Cornell University. I've competed in mixed martial arts. I had a blog for 365 days about fitness. So it's not like I don't know, but I'm aware of it, and yet I'm not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's like being able to be compassionate about it, again, goes, okay, something's up, but this is also enabling you to relate to people who are struggling across as this super.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I would love to continue this conversation in the event on the 30th.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, because I think it's very interesting, and I'm sure lots of people feel that way. And I've never actually felt that way, but I felt I was too skinny, and I was obsessed with food, and I was eating like crazy and having pills to be more hungry. So I was really, I was the opposite. But I think it's exactly the same problem, in fact.
Yeah.
Where, I just felt ugly and disgusting and too skinny, and, I didn't have curves, and I didn't feel like a woman, and I had all these problems. So I would love to discuss in terms of how much is here, how much is real, how much, because everyone was seeing me beautiful like a model, and I was seeing myself so disgusting that it was unbelievable. I couldn't understand them. For me, it was like, what are you talking about? Can you not see this? So your reality is so strong. And I think a lot of people might be in that place, and, it would be great to kind of,
Yeah, 100%. I'd love to talk about that. I'll give you a really quick example.
Yeah.
So last year I was leading a tribe of 35 amazing people with an incredible facilitator and coach called Sophie Miller. And we were training these 35 people over 12 weeks, right? And so every week we'd show up and do these workshops with them, and friends would spend with them. And towards the end, I decided to do this workshop about personal branding. And so it was like, oh, you should run it on your own. And I was like, okay, cool. So I ran this workshop on my own about personal branding. It was like a 3-hour workshop, right? And at the end of it, I felt like it totally bombed. Like I totally fucked up. It was horrible. It was shit. And I was like beating myself up. I felt really bad. I wanted to cry. I wanted to go in a room. Sophie came up to me. She was like, dude, that was amazing. That was really good. I was like, no, it wasn't. It was horrible. She's like, no. You're being chimped right now. And there was like an internal job, and I'll tell more about it on Sunday for people who come. But the bottom line is that we brought in some amazing speakers and facilitators that came to the tribe. And one of them is this incredible psychologist called Rob Archer. And when he leaves workshops, he feels like he didn't do a good job. And trust me, he is unbelievable. He is so good. And she told me, she said, if Rob Archer can feel that way when he leaves, can you at least And I was like, yeah, even though viscerally I don't feel that, I can understand that. And I think that's one of the hardest things.
I have to interrupt you, but it's the signal stop when you say at least. Can you feel at least? And I've lost your.
Oh, yeah. Can you at least consider that it's possible that the way you feel isn't how other people.
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's the same thing with my TEDx talk. I mean, we'll finish on that, but my TEDx talk, I walked off stage. The only things I could think about was everything I didn't get right, everything I did wrong, everything I messed up.
Of course, yeah.
Those are the first things I went to, and everybody's like, it was amazing, it was so good, you know. And I was like, yeah, but I messed this, but I was conscious of it and trying to say, oh, okay, these are just voices. It's not the truth.
Yeah. So Mark, can you tell us what are you planning to cover in the event? What things are you bring? Like, because, you know, I would love to ask you this question of what Mark don't tell, right? But maybe we can leave it for the event. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think people want to find that out, they're going to have to come to the event, I think.
Yes,
you know.
you have to come to the event. So, but what are we going to cover? Because from my side, as I said, happiness, confidence, motivation is some of the things that are going to come up. Always, you know, focusing in their energy, in them trusting themselves more, and kind of stop following the crowd if they want to, kind of thing. So that was
so I'm going to basically share with anybody who comes to the event on Sunday everything I've learned over the last 10 years of both working for the 3 leading organizations I've worked with, which is INSEAD, the top graduate business school, the November Foundation, which is the world's leading men's health organization, and Alpha Press Group, which were the leading of editorial companies. Mix that with over 224 guests I've interviewed over the last 12 years, from entrepreneurs, presidents of countries, ministers, CEOs, athletes, adventurers, best-selling authors, and the list goes on. What I've learned from all these incredible people of what it takes for ordinary people to achieve extraordinary things. It sounds really like coachy bullshit, but what it is, basically, it's like, what gets in the way of people starting? What gets in the way of people not doing the things they really want to do? And it's actually much more simple than people think. And I'm going to boil down everything I've learned. I'm going to make it super condensed, practical. And I'm going to share that on Sunday. And I'm really, really excited because I've never shared this before. So it's going to be super cool.
Oh my God. I'm so excited as well. I'm so happy. Well, I want to say congratulations for your TED Talk, first of all. Of course, thank you for today, for sharing all these, you know, thoughts. I mean, I love talking to you, as you know. Last time in the podcast, we couldn't stop, you know, we were just and I think we could keep going because we kind of like topics. And so thank you for today. Congratulations on your TED Talk.
You're welcome.
And also thank you as well, you know, for coming to the event on the 30th, I mean, for volunteering, or, you know, for saying yes.
No problem. Yeah. I like what you guys are doing.
Something you want to add, just like a last message for people to hear you around the world? Anything?
Yeah, this is something that I really believe in, which is it can be really easy to sit and listen to us talk and to somehow make up that we're different. And then we go, yeah, but you're different, or yeah, but look, you've got this or that, or whatever it is. And my invitation to people is to actually think for a second, what if everyone I listen to, every consume, every person I wish I could interact with or that I look at, were exactly the same as I am? If that was the case, then what is the single thing getting in the way of me getting started? And then I tell them, come on Sunday to find out what that is.
Beautiful. I love that. I can't wait, seriously. Also, I feel good. Awesome.
Cool.
So much. I send you a super hug from here.
Yeah, hug from London over to where are you right now?
Spain. I'm back to London tomorrow anyway.
Enjoy.
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you, Mark, so much. I feel so lucky to be talking to you right now. I feel so lucky to see you on the 30th, and I really appreciate, I mean, seriously, my life is being amazing, and I feel so grateful for that. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for inviting me. It's a real pleasure, and I hope that we can change some lives on Sunday. It'll be a good day.
We will, and we'll have a lot of fun as well.
For sure.
Everybody knows. Ciao,
Ciao.
bello.
Ciao.
Ciao.